Drink your coffee, read your sports, listen to the Dream Report. Let pour it pour.
Federal comment window that changes to residual inputs closes this Saturday. Most appraisers have not read what is actually in it. They are assuming the regulatory baseline remains steady.
It does not. If you are rating equipment valuations for heavy-duty trucks or agricultural machinery, your assumptions about useful life and warranty transfers are about to shift.
Today is Monday morning, August 24, 2026. This week we look at the closing EPA comment window, a sharp divergence in Class 8 sales channels, and the opposing directions of IRS appraiser penalties.
Start with the Federal Register. The Environmental Protection Agency has a proposed rule on the table. The title is Amendments and Non-Conformance Penalties for Model Year 2027 and Later Heavy-Duty Highway Engines, and Amendments to Inducement Provisions for SCR-equipped diesel engines.
It was announced on July 9, 2026. It was published in the Federal Register on July 14, 2026. The docket ID is EPA-HQ-OAR-26-728. Written comments are due by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Saturday, August 29, 2026. The public hearing has already concluded.
We are looking at the specific details in the EPA's own fact sheet. That is document number EPA-420-F-26-12, published in July 2026. This segment is about the closing window and the direction of the change, not a reannouncement of the proposal itself.
The EPA fact sheet highlights three major changes that matter to evaluation. First, reducing emissions warranty periods. Second, delaying extended regulatory useful life requirements. Third, eliminating deratements and vehicle speed restrictions completely from newly manufactured highway engines and vehicles and new non-road engines and equipment, including those used in agriculture.
Take those 3 points one at a time. The EPA proposes to maintain existing model year 2026 emissions warranty periods for model year 2027 and later engines. The EPA states this makes per-engine costs lower across all engine categories.
For the useful life requirements, the EPA is providing additional lead time. The fact sheet says they are doing this by delaying longer useful life requirements until model year 2030.
For the DEF systems, the EPA proposes to remove deratements and vehicle speed restrictions completely from newly manufactured highway engines and vehicles and new non-road engines and equipment, including those used in agriculture.
The proposal also introduces non-conformance penalties. The EPA proposes to make these penalties available to manufacturers of medium heavy-duty and heavy-duty engines beginning in model year 2027.
The EPA estimates this proposal will yield $12 billion in total savings. They estimate savings of up to $6,000 per new truck.
They also state the proposal retains nearly 90% of the NOx reductions from the 2023 rule. They project there would still be a 42% reduction in heavy-duty NOx emissions in 2055 compared to not having the 2023 rule.
This is where appraisers are getting the details backwards. The direction of this regulatory change is down, not up. A casual reading of changes to useful life and warranty periods makes people assume coverage is being extended.
It is the exact reverse. The proposal shortens the emissions warranty relative to what the 2023 rule scheduled it would. It also pushes the extended useful life requirement out to model year 2030.
This means a model year 2027 through 2029 engine will sit in a different regulatory durability class than the 2023 rule implied it would. As appraisers, we have to look at how this affects our inputs.
Exactly. Regulatory useful life is a direct input to economic life. A transferable emissions warranty is a resale attribute that a second owner either does or does not inherit. Both of those inputs are moving here.
We are not telling anyone what their final value conclusion should be. We are pointing out that two primary inputs under that conclusion are being reset. The comment window this Saturday is the last public step before a final rule.
Do not overlook the agricultural reach here either. The removal of derate and speed restriction rules covers new non-road engines and equipment, not just highway trucks. This affects agricultural tractors and construction yellow iron.
It's a major shift in how we look at future obsolescence and maintenance cost projections for these model years.
Now, the transaction data. ACT Research recently released their June data for used Class 8 trucks.
The numbers show a very specific trend. June same-dealer used Class 8 retail truck sales bounced back from May's weakness by 9.6%. This extended their long-term gain by 4.0% year-over-year.
So for context, May's same-dealer used Class 8 retail sales fell 13% month-over-month. So the June retail bounce recovered a lot of that ground.
But the retail market was only one part of the story in June. Steve Tam, vice president at ACT Research, described the other channels.
Tam, in his own words, auction and wholesale markets were both softer in June. Auction volume slumped 22% month-over-month, unusual for the last month of the quarter. Wholesale dealer activity trickled 4.8% month-over-month. Combined, June's total market same-dealer sales volumes were down 5.1% month-over-month.
Look at the divergence there. Retail sales went up by 9.6%. At the same time, auction volumes slumped by 22%.
This is a classic channel divergence. If you're building a comp set right now and you mix retail and auction observations without separating them, you're averaging a divergence into a single misleading number.
It comes back to levels of trade. The retail market and the auction market are operating on different dynamics right now.
The divergence is the thing to notice. Retail and auction are two different channels, and an unadjusted average across both carries the gap inside it without showing it.
On fleet assets, an auction-weighted comp set and a retail-weighted comp set point at two different trajectories out of the same June.
Our third topic today is tax valuation. Estate and gift valuation is heating up as an examination area.
Bloomberg Tax recently reported that trust and estate disputes are increasingly becoming business litigation. The IRS has been actively running valuation and penalty controversies through estate tax examinations.
The mechanic sits in Internal Revenue Code Section 6695A. This section imposes a penalty directly on the appraiser, not just on the taxpayer, when an appraisal results in a substantial or gross valuation misstatement.
And there is an asymmetry buried in it. On a charitable contribution, your hazard is overstatement. That trigger runs through Section 6662E, and it applies at 150% or more of the correct value.
On an estate or gift return, the hazard is the exact opposite. The hazard there is understatement. That trigger runs through Section 6662G, and it applies at 65% or less of the correct value. Think about what that means for your practice. The same appraiser performing the exact same quality of work faces the penalty from opposite directions depending on which return the appraisal lands on.
The direction of your professional risk is set by the assignment itself, not by your methodology. If you're doing an estate valuation, your exposure is on the downside. If you're doing a donation valuation, your exposure is on the upside.
The thresholds sit in opposite directions, and the IRS is looking closely at those margins right now. Some color from the field. On the Moving Iron podcast, hosts Casey Seymour and Greg Peterson have been covering the August auction market.
They noted that pre-harvest demand remains strong. High-condition used agricultural equipment continues to price well.
They also noted that high new equipment costs are continuing to push buyers towards used iron. This is the second week we've seen the same story play out. It's an ongoing update rather than a new development, but the trend is holding steady through late August.
The read is that demand for late-model, clean used machines is keeping a floor under those specific ag values.
This brings us to the through line for the week. 3 different clocks ran this week, and every single one of them moved an input, not a conclusion.
We have a comment deadline that resets useful life and warranty expectations. We have a monthly data set where 2 primary sales channels moved in opposite directions. And we have an IRS examination trend where the direction of your penalty exposure depends entirely on which return you signed.
The appraiser's job is unchanged. The inputs under it are not.
Written comments on docket EPA-HQ-OAR-26-728, close at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Saturday, August 29th.